San Francisco attorney and my friend Harmeet Dillon recently decided to represent a man who said he was unlawfully fired by Google for expressing his conservative views. Former Google software engineer James Damore was fired in August after he wrote a memo criticizing the company's diversity requirements. And he also suggested biology might account for the dearth of women in the tech industry. They both join us now to discuss the latest with the case. Great to see both of you. James, great to see you, man. Thanks for being here. So, Harmeet, what happened? I know you took the case to the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, which a lot of people watching going, oh, what's that? But you took the case there. What happened?
So James filed a case with the NLRB the day he was fired. So that happened before he got counsel. And the National Labor Relations Act, which is implemented by the board, protects the rights of workers to discuss their working conditions. And so the memo that James wrote falls into that category of discussing some of the illegal quotas and other practices that they do at Google that he complained about. And
so you were saying that's protected under the NLRB,
correct?
Which seems like that kind of makes sense. Okay,
right.
Go on.
And so we also got geared up to file a lawsuit that would cover employment claims under California law. So the National Labor Relations Board has a number of regional offices, and the regional office that governs our region decided that James had a case, and so
good. Okay, good news.
Move forward with the case. Now, when somebody's fired, they're supposed to act quickly within weeks to try to have a hearing and get them returned to their job. So we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and then finally we realized something's going on. And it turns out that what happened was Google went and lobbied the Washington office of the NLRB to
Wait, that's called an ex parte contact, which is supposed to be kind of a no-no, at least
in courts it is.
Maybe the NLRB.
And even in the
big
NLRB,
heavy push from Google on the NLRB, and this is a Trump appointee.
Yes, so let's talk about that. The president appoints the general counsel, the deputy general counsel, and other people like that. But Obama holdovers at the NLRB decided to overrule the regional office of career professionals.
Does that happen often?
Protected. It doesn't happen often.
Okay.
And what really doesn't happen often is that they then issue a memo about it where James had already withdrawn his case.
Okay, so James, how are you doing? I mean, this has been quite a roller coaster for you. You're now like this conservative folk hero, which I'm sure that's not what you ever envisioned happening. You loved your job, you lost your job. So how you feeling, how you doing throughout this?
Yeah, it's a little exhausting, to be honest.
And are you a code writer? Were you okay? So I imagine you could get hired by someone else at this point, right? Are you working for someone else?
I'm still looking.
Oh, you're still looking?
Yeah.
This hurt him.
Well, what happened was, the thing is, in Silicon Valley, you have to understand, Google is the 800-pound gorilla, and so people are afraid of irritating Google. I mean, I'm using a euphemism here.
Right.
And smaller companies don't want to hire somebody because they want to get acquired by Google. I mean, we were here at CPAC this weekend. Google is a sponsor. Google is ubiquitous, so it is a real problem.
But so what's next with your case? Because the NLRB, that's not going anywhere, so you're back in court.
Yeah, so Laura, we withdrew the NLRB charge when we realized they were just going to sit on it and not, take it seriously. So we then have filed a lawsuit in state court, which is a class action on behalf of James and a number of other workers at the company. We're waiting for our first day in court, which will be in May.
Now, what does this say to other people in the workplace? Whether you're a conservative working in a more liberal place or whether you're a liberal working in a more conservative environment, which are not that many. If they're big corporations, they're all pretty,
So Laura, you and I went to law school together, and, in court, you have a supposedly neutral judge. You've talked about that a little bit on your show today. But a judge hears both sides, and then there's some evidence taken, and then there's a decision based on that. In agencies, which is a lot of what we have going on here in the swamp in D.C., a lot of faceless bureaucrats make very critical decisions about the future of companies and policies. And so what Google employees may not know is that Google has an army of lawyers who are actively lobbying the National Labor Relations Board to cut back rights for workers, not just in James's case, but in cases involving them discussing their working conditions with each other.
Okay, that's a big deal. I've not heard that before. And Google's big, but you still have to follow the law. And by the way, we're out of time, but a survey of Silicon Valley employees finds that if you're very conservative, 89% of you say you're hesitant of being yourself at work. Conservatives, 74% of conservatives in Silicon Valley say they're hesitant to be themselves at work. Liberals, 36%, they're pretty fine, very liberal. Only 30% feel hesitant about being themselves. This is fascinating. We're going to follow every aspect of this. Thank you guys for both being here.